By the end of this video, I hope I've helped you answer the question in the title. Is a university degree really still important and worth it if you want to pursue a career in tech? Hi, I'm Laura, a PM working in tech, and on my channel I talk about my life as a PM, my life working in tech, and other computer science related advice. In today's online world, there are a lot of different avenues that you can take to get your next job, switch into a different career, or get your education. Specifically in today's video, I want to talk about university degrees in the traditional sense, online university degrees, boot camps, and also certifications. We'll cover what each of these are, the average cost, the length of obtaining one of these, and overall pros and cons and my personal thoughts on each of them. Keep in mind that I have not personally gone through a boot camp, nor am I a boot camp graduate, so my thoughts and opinions are kind of anecdotal here. First, let's start out with the major topic of a traditional degree, whether online or in person. This is a pretty formalized education program, traditionally spanning 4 years, although it can just be 2 years if you're pursuing an associate degree rather than a bachelor's degree. Through this program, you'll be taking classes at a particular university or college that you're enrolled at, and go through all the hoops and rings that come with a university degree. I mostly refer to just general education classes, which may not be everyone's cup of tea, but ultimately in the end, I believe do some good in terms of expanding your worldview and your horizons. I personally went through a 4-year degree program, graduated from a state school, and I also minored in math. Overall, I would say that I enjoyed my experience during college. I took a lot of really interesting classes, I met a lot of cool people and professors, and I was also able to have a lot of opportunities afforded to me through being a university student. Now let's move on to the pros here. Your basic 4-year degree is going to open a decent amount of doors for you, mainly a lot of entry-level positions that are looking for people with a computer science degree. In addition to opening a few doors here and there, it also just gives you the basic all-around education you need to understand computer science and to feel comfortable working in the tech field. Now, assuming that you've majored in computer science, hopefully you learned a little bit of theory and also a little bit of application. Putting those two things together, you'll be a better all-around student than someone graduating from a specific boot camp, for example. The second pro is that you have a lot of peers you can study with, learn from, and also work with overall over the course of your 4-year degree. If you're someone that's really into the social aspect of things, but also really enjoys education, then college is probably the best opportunity and space for you to mingle with others and connect with like-minded people. Of course, you can also use clubs and organizations as a good kicking off point to discover where your interests are and where your hobbies lie. Third, and I think an underutilized resource, are your professors. Hopefully you have credible professors that have an interesting background and interesting history and can also teach you a lot as a student. If you're into particular research opportunities, then there is probably a faculty out there that can support you with that or get you involved with their own lab. Alternatively, if you're not really into research, you can still utilize your professors as a mentor and as a resource. They often have different connections that can point you to the right people to answer your questions. Another pro of a university setting is that there are other university benefits that come with being enrolled and being a student on campus. Notably, you'll have access to study spaces like the library, and you can also check out books at the library. You can also attend the campus gym for free, and you also have access to resources like counseling if that's up your alley as well. Honestly, I wish I used these perks more as a student because you're still paying for them with your tuition and building fees, but having cool study spaces was really fun, and also going to the library or going to the gym was just a short walk away. Now let's talk a little bit about online degrees. This is definitely a good thing when it comes to university degrees and making education more accessible. The common options you'll find here are just going to be your traditional bachelor's degree, which is just the on-campus version with online instructors, a post-bac degree, which is for people that already have a bachelor's degree and are coming back to school for a career switch, or a master's degree or other higher education degree that focuses on people that maybe already have a little bit of experience and knowledge with computer science and programming. In terms of specific universities, I know there are a couple out there. The benefit to most of these is that a lot of these programs online are targeted for career switchers or people that are looking to make a transition. So they understand that you don't have maybe the full capacity of being a full-time student, and instead offer you the ability to take just 1 or 2 classes a quarter and balance that out with your other responsibilities. Additionally, if you really aren't into the social scene or you're a non-traditional student and don't feel super comfortable, then having these online communities can be really beneficial because you can find more like-minded and similar people. From personal experience talking to some of the people that have done the online degree program in Oregon State, most people have said that it's a pretty great opportunity and also a pretty good program, just albeit on the expensive side, which we'll dive into right now. So cons obviously is that a degree is going to be pretty expensive, as a single credit can be anywhere from $200 to $500 at some of the more pricey schools. Now multiply that by the fact that you often have enrollment fees, admin fees, building fees, and your average class is going to be anywhere between 3 to 4 credits, so you're looking at least a $1,000 bill per quarter you're taking a class. Now, the opposite of one of the pros that I mentioned is that with a general and well-rounded education is that you just don't get to dive into the depths as much. Some universities may not offer the kinds of electives or depth that you're looking for when it comes to learning specifically about front-end programming or security. However, it is important to keep in mind what your university program looks like and if they have these kinds of options and specializations available to you. Another con with university and college is that these class sizes are often pretty big. It's pretty easy to get lost in a pool of 50, 100, or 200 people, especially if you're working online and by yourself. So if that is a concern, then maybe look for smaller class sizes or a smaller program which has more individualized instruction and classes. Now let's move on to boot camps. These are going to be a short, sweet, and rather expedited version of formalized education. I've often seen these range anywhere between 8 to 16 weeks, and they also often target a very specific career path or industry that you want to pursue. The bootcamp market is also highly saturated with tons of different companies vying for your money and also promising to teach you all the fundamental skills you'll need to get a job in tech. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews and opinions on each of these bootcamps, and all of them kind of have their own reputation preceding them. I don't mean to be entirely prescriptive of every single bootcamp, but here are the general pros and cons that I found. First is that it's short, sweet, and to the point. The opportunity cost for going back to school and pursuing a formalized degree program is pretty high for a lot of people. With bootcamps, you can sign up for a very specific industry or job sector that you're looking to get into, like security or data science or front-end development. The second main pro I found is that instructors are often more connected to industry. A lot of industry software engineers come to these bootcamps to teach as a side gig, or they just have those industry connections because they just left industry to come do this full-time. There's a lot for you to learn from someone that's actually been in industry and working at a company in the past couple years, rather than your professors who may not have been in industry for years and years on end. They can provide you real-time insight into what industry is like, and also give you maybe some tips and insight that your professors at your local university may not be able to. However, the flip side to that is that if it doesn't work out, then it's also pretty devastating, and let's move on to the cons with that. Tying back into if it doesn't work out, there's also a high upfront cost. The two options that I've seen is you can either pay for the bootcamp in full when you're enrolling, or you also sign up with the intention of giving back a percentage of your salary once you've gotten a full-time job and graduated the bootcamp. I don't really know which one of these is the right move, and I've seen arguments in both directions, but often people don't really have the ability to shell out just $10,000 or $20,000 to attend a bootcamp and often end up selecting the percentage of their future salary. The second main con is that you don't get the ins and outs of understanding computer science because you're so tunnel visioned onto a specific industry, specific programming language, and specific skills. You really only have so much time in a bootcamp, and again, you're pretty strapped in and locked into the specific course or path that you're choosing as a result of signing up for a bootcamp. You miss out on exploring your horizons, different electives that you might enjoy otherwise, and if you don't end up liking it, then you're kind of screwed at the end of the program. The major problem that I've heard with bootcamps, though, is that people come in with this grand expectation of where bootcamp will take them and what their future career will look like. They think that they can land a role at your next big tech company like Facebook or Google just in a short 8 to 16 weeks as a bootcamp grad without any prior experience. The main thing that I've seen though from reading threads of bootcamp graduates and bootcamp cohorts is this. If you don't come with any interest or background knowledge in programming or coding and just want to make a career transition, you're going to have a really hard time. You're probably going to miss out on picking up all the skills they teach you in bootcamp. You're going to get frustrated because you can't learn something in time, and overall you're just going to be in a very different spot than what you might have expected coming into a bootcamp. There's also a lot of controversy around the legitimacy of a lot of bootcamps and their guarantee to find you a job at the end of the bootcamp. I'll attach screenshots and also link to the thread in the description box down below. But basically, this sort of thread goes through how Lambda School, a very popular bootcamp, has been falsifying their information and lying about the rates at which their graduates are finding successful jobs in industry. Pretty problematic and really makes you think about boot camps and the efficacy as well as the legitimacy. Next is going to be certifications and trainings. These are going to be a short 1 to 2 week program that really dive in onto a very specific niche or subtopic of a domain and expect you to kind of get all the bells and whistles at the end of the course. These can be live in-person trainings or online pre-recorded content like on Udemy, Pluralsight, and LinkedIn Learning. Generally though, the goal is to help guide you to pass an examination or otherwise demonstrate some sort of mastery in a very specific domain. I would say that a single certification or training isn't really comparable to a degree or a bootcamp because you're not getting the overall spectrum of education here, you're just focusing in on one thing specifically. If you're getting a whole suite of certifications within a broad area like security, then maybe that's a little bit different, but for the purpose of this video, I'll focus in on a very specific training or certification. So the pros here is that you get to target in and practice and hone in on a skill that you really want to get better at. It can help you stand out from other people in your field because you are certified in a particular topic, or have otherwise demonstrated mastery over this topic. The second pro is that there is a lot of content out there online, and also at a pretty low cost. You can buy individual courses on Udemy for anywhere between $10 to $30, and they'll get you a pretty good idea of how to apply machine learning in this area, or how to be better at designing system architecture. To actually be certified, you often have to pay a slightly steeper price in the hundreds range, but we'll talk about that too. Lastly, because of how wide and deep the overall tech industry is, there are a lot of different topics you can choose from, and there's almost certainly a certification or training out there that will pique your interest and also help build your skills. Now let's talk about cons. So first, as I mentioned, just because you've done the training doesn't mean you actually get the certification at the end of it, and you often do have to pay a steeper price just to take the certification exam and have this shiny little badge that says you passed the exam. Often though, certifications and trainings like this are covered by your company, so see if you have any company benefits that might allow you to take your next certification or exam and reimburse you for it. Another con is that just pursuing a certification itself is not going to get you the job unless you already have the qualifications, background, and otherwise expertise to make you a good candidate for the particular role. You can think of the certification as kind of the cherry or extra star on top, but in order to land a new role, you're probably going to need a little bit more than just a single certification on your resume.
And those drinks are recorded here on the Good Noodle Board.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Whoa!
Attendance, penmanship, basic desk sanitation, advanced desk sanitation. I'll add your name so you can start collecting Good Noodle stars too.
Next, certification costs can add up over time, especially if you aren't getting reimbursed or you're just doing it out of your own pocket. Again, there are a lot of trainings out there that are available for free or at a pretty low cost, but to get the actual certification and badge you can put on different places, you're gonna need to pay an extra certification and exam fee. The last thing is that you're not really gonna get any connections or industry knowledge out of a specific certification or training. These are pretty individual tasks, and it's pretty much equivalent to taking a class and then taking an exam for it and then getting the result. There's not anyone you can really talk to or really network with as a result unless you really try hard to network with the other people in a live training or something. Now, a last bonus topic is choosing between pursuing a higher education degree, such as a master's or PhD, and starting in industry. So say you're a current undergraduate student and you're thinking about applying for a master's in computer science or a PhD in computer science or something like an MBA. The most important thing and what it really comes down to is, why do you want this degree? If this is just a personal fulfillment thing and something that you actually really enjoy doing and that you love education, then yeah, by all means, if you can afford it, then go for it. Additionally, if you're really into research and you know that you want to pursue research, then by all means, go do a master's and do a PhD in a very specific field and topic that you're interested in. However, if it's because you believe that you're going to get a better employment offer or a better salary at the end of it all, then hold your horses and you might actually be better just going straight into industry. The time you spend as a full-time student has a pretty high opportunity cost. All the years that you're a full-time student, you're losing out on a full-time salary, which can add up a lot. Say you take 2 years to get your next MBA or your next master's degree, or you could spend 2 years in industry. First, consider if you're paying for these classes, because that's already an opportunity cost in and of itself, and then also add on to the opportunity cost of the lost wages that you would have otherwise gotten had you started working in industry. That's already a pretty big discrepancy, and on top of that, those 2 years of experience in industry will get you a lot farther in terms of your next promotion or your next new role than that single master's degree will in the future. So bottom line is that even if a master's degree may get you a slightly higher paying position than if you applied 2 years ago as just a bachelor's degree student, you're going to lose out on wages by not being a full-time employee. Also consider that the amount of time you spend working full-time in industry is going to vastly outweigh what you do as a master's student. Maybe you'll get promotions that will bump your pay up anyways, and even at a higher point than if you came in as a master's student. That's my rundown on degrees, bootcamps, and certifications. As I mentioned, I hope you have a better understanding of which one of these is really the best for you, and if you really still do need a degree to work in tech. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for a brand new video. Bye.